One thing I was reminded of at this time is that I have to figure out for myself what's really going on, because I, for one, do not know anyone who has the full picture and who has no agendas or assumptions. And everyone has ego, especially politicians and medical experts. The tricky thing is that I too, of course, have ego, agendas and assumptions, many of which are unknown to me. I'm reminded, therefore, of the importance of mutual cooperation with others to share pieces of the elaborate puzzle and to reveal each other's blind spots. I have a strange reluctance to ask for help, and so often I do try and do things on my own, which is a crazy idea because in reality all that we have or do is the result of the cooperation of millions of people. One of the slogans displayed at 12-step meetings is "take what you like, leave the rest," which I think is a healthy approach to ideas and ideologies. The same applies to the content here. I follow various channels on YouTube, including James Corbett occasionally. I like the way he articulated the principle underpinning our current situation of being held under house arrest.
But the principle holds that if there is a spreading infectious agent of some sort that is hypothetically infecting people around the globe, and you might become infected by this agent, and you might end up passing it on to someone else, who might end up passing it on to someone else, etc., and somewhere down that chain of infection, someone who is immunocompromised might end up becoming infected, and they might be part of that sliver of a fraction of a percentage point of the population who might die from the disease. And if that were to take place, well, of course, every single link in that chain of infection should be classified as a murderer. And in order to prevent such a mass murder from taking place, governments around the world are not just empowered, but actually obligated to implement a sort of de facto medical martial law by following the pronouncements of the duly unelected health authorities to do whatever they deem necessary to prevent such a hypothetical chain of infection from taking place.
My proposition is this: if you go with the logic of the governments and medical experts, as explained above, then surely sex should be immediately outlawed on the following grounds. Firstly, if you are not living with your partner, you should certainly refrain from having sex with them unless you can do it from 2 meters away. If you live with them, though, you should also refrain from having sex, as it is very likely that you will infect them or that they will infect you if either of you have the virus, and of course you don't know if you have, and then you are a potential murderer. And if there is a chance of pregnancy, then it is far worse. The pregnant woman will need to go to hospital checkups several times, and each visit will render her a potential murderer, which is magnified by the chance that she may infect our treasured hospital staff. And it is also more likely that she catches it from the hospital staff, as there is a lot of concentrated infection in hospitals. If you cannot fault my logic, and you are isolating because you think you're saving lives, then I ask you to refrain from having sex and lobby your government to make sex illegal during the pandemic. Also, I think you should campaign for the immediate closure of Tinder and similar apps.